Hello, my name's Selena. Welcome back to my channel. I'm sorry that the lighting is very harsh and like warm and kind of yellowish. Today I waited too late to film. It's been kind of rainy and gray for like days, and I don't have the light that I need to film, and I only have lamps in my room because I don't know where my ring light went. It's gone. So we're just gonna have to make do with the lamps I have in my room. If I really hate the way this looks, I may have to refilm, but for this video, I'm gonna be talking about the series that I want to read in 2022. I'm not committing to finishing all of these. I'm just telling you what series I'm either gonna start or maybe finish or continue with in 2022. So I've split this video up into sections. So I might put timestamps or I might not, but there will be sections. So the first section is anticipated releases that are sequels. Usually sequels like the second book in a series, but there's like a couple third books. And I'm gonna have a whole section in my anticipated releases video that's coming out like in a couple days. So I'm going to skip this and direct you to that video when it comes out. If you want to see what anticipated releases are sequels and thus series that I will be continuing, I will direct you to that video. Next are series I have started and want to catch up on. So the first one of those is gonna be The Kingkiller Chronicles. I have been loving this series. I read The Name of the Wind in November. I am currently reading The Wise Man's Fear. It is December right now, and so that's the first two books in the series. I'm not under any delusions that The Doors of Stone is coming out in 2023. Believe me, I mean 2022. Believe me, I am not even 2023. Maybe not ever. But there is still the novella, the something regard of silent things, the small regard of silent things. I don't know, but that novella I would really like to read. I love the character that it is following, Ari, so I really want to read this novella in the beginning of the new year. Another book that I read this month, December, The Bear and the Nightingale, I really want to finish that series in the new year, the beginning of the new year. The Girl in the Tower and The Winter and the Witch are the second and third books, and I really want to finish the series. I'm super excited to continue with it because I loved Bear and the Nightingale so much. Then, a series that I never talk about on my channel because I literally read it I started it years and years ago, and it was like my first foray into like high fantasy, and it is A Natural History of Dragons, so the first book in the Memoirs of Lady Trent series. And this is about a naturalist woman who wants to study dragons, but she's a woman in a very Regency-like era, and so she is not allowed to. And her memoirs are really funny. Her character is really great. I tried to read the second one a while ago and DNF'd it. I feel like I would do better listening to this series on audiobook, so that is what I would like to try and, finish. I would like to try and finish that series next year through audio. Then I have The Drowning Empire, which started with The Bone Shard Daughter. I read that this year, and I would like to get to The Bone Shard Emperor and The Bone Shard War in 2022. The Bone Shard Emperor is already out. The Bone Shard War is coming out next year in like November or something. And I told you I wouldn't talk about new releases, but The Bone Shard Emperor is not a new release of 2022. It's a new release of 2021. I still haven't gotten to it, and I won't get to it by the end of this year. Another one that also has a new release, but coming out in 2022, but also has books in the series that I haven't gotten to yet, Mistborn Era 2. The Lost Metal is coming out in fall of 2022, I think November again, and I still haven't read Shadows of Self or Bands of Mourning because I didn't really like Alloy of Law. So I would like to finish this series, get it over with, get it off of my TBR, stop thinking about it, read The Lost Metal, and be done with it. And that is my hope for that series. Okay, next section. Series I would like to continue with, but won't necessarily commit to finishing or even catching up with the series in the new year. So the first one of those is the Locked Tomb series, and this starts with Gideon the Ninth. I read Gideon the Ninth in February, I think. Yeah, like February 2021, and I would like to at least read Harrow next year. I have no huge desire to read Nona the Ninth in 2022. That book is coming out in 2022, but I'm not on the hype train for the new release yet because Gideon the Ninth was good. It was really good, but I didn't feel compelled to pick up Harrow ever this year. And I still want to. I know I will enjoy it, but Harrow is kind of a undertaking, and so I would like to read that at least in 2022, and I don't know whether after that I will even continue with the series. I've heard some people hate Harrow and DNF, so I don't know. So that's one reason why I am not committing to Nona, but also because these are books that I don't think I can read super close to each other because they're just so different from what I usually like. So there's that. Also in that vein is the Inheritance trilogy by N.K. Jemisin, starting with The 100,000 Kingdoms, which I read over the summer. I read it this year. I do want to read The Broken Kingdoms, which is the second book in the series, in 2022. But I am not like dying to read The Kingdom of Gods, the third book, in 2022, mostly because these are all kind of standalone books in the same series, in the same world. So I'm not super like fussed about reading them super close together because they stand alone. So I would like to read the next one because I own it next year, but I do not own Kingdom of Gods, and I'm not in any rush to read Kingdom of Gods and finish up this trilogy. So no promises on that one. The next one is a very long series, the Temeraire series by Naomi Novik. I read Temeraire, or His Majesty's Dragon, the first one, in the summer, like June or something this year, and I really, really loved it. But there's 8 more books in the series, and I don't think I can commit to reading the entire Temeraire series next year. Maybe I will get really into it and like binge it over the period of a few months. I don't know. All I know is I am not going to be like forcing myself to finish the series. So as far as I get into it is fine with me. The next one, Wheel of Time. So Wheel of Time and I are not friends. Eye of the World was like a 3.25. That was okay. That was an okay book. And that one I've heard is the weakest. And then I liked the most tightly plotted book in the series less than I liked Eye of the World. So The Great Hunt was a miss for me. It was like a 2.75. It was like 2. It should have been like a 2. I did not like The Great Hunt very much, mostly because of the ending. I was okay with it until the ending, and I don't know. I didn't like it. I've pretty much accepted at this point that the series is not for me. However, I do really like the characters, and it will be sad if I never read another book with Elaine in it, or Egwene, or Min, or Nynaeve. Mostly the women characters I like. Or maybe Matt. Kind of like Matt. I would like to continue with the series, but I'm not committing past The Dragon Reborn, really. Especially not for this year. I've been told that I need to read them very close together. I'm not gonna do that. Because here's the thing, I don't enjoy them. They're not enjoyable for me to read, and they're long. So I do want to read them because I do enjoy some parts of them, but I am not going to spend like half of my reading time for this year working on the freaking Wheel of Time. It's just not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen, y'all. And so I'm not gonna binge them. I'm not gonna read them very close together. I'm gonna read them when I can stomach picking another one up. And that's how I feel about the Wheel of Time. So yeah, no pressure to finish the Wheel of Time. None whatsoever. So then for series I would like to start or like read totally in 2021. Starting with middle grade, there's a couple that have really interested me. The 3 that I'm going to talk about are The Keeper of the Lost Cities by Shannon Messenger. That series is a long series, and that one I would like to finish even though it's long, just because they seem really fun. And they're middle grade, so they go quicker for me, and so I would like to see if I could finish that one if I like the first couple books. So, Keeper of the Lost Cities. And then there's some that I don't think are complete, but the first one is Wilder Lore by Amanda Foody. This is Amanda Foody's middle grade, and it looks really cute. It starts with The Accidental Apprentice, and the second book comes out in like February of 2022, so I would like to get to this series. And then there's also Ava Evergreen, Semi-Magical Witch. That one has a sequel. I don't know if it's getting more books, but there's 2 books out, and they look adorable. People love those books. I'm super excited to dive into those. So those are the 3 middle grade series that I want to at least start and possibly finish or catch up to this next year. Then onto the YA section of the series I want to read in 2022. We have a young YA, TJ Young and the Orishas. This starts with The Gatekeeper Staff. I own this book. I really want to read this book. I wanted to read it this year, but I didn't get to it. And I also know that the second book should be coming out this this next year as well. So if I like it, I will read them both. I am very excited for this series. Then we have the Graceling series. I am not committed to reading all of these, but I kind of want to because they have beautiful UK covers. They have beautiful new UK covers, and I would like to read them. They're kind of older YA, so they make me a bit nervous. Because older YA sometimes is really great and sometimes does not mesh with me or my reading taste at all. But I would like to try out this series. Then another one that I've heard talked about on the Bookish Moms channel, Jessie's channel, I'll link her down below, is the Heir Awakens series. This is like a self-published YA fantasy romance type of series. And it looks adorable. They have beautiful covers, and I just would like to read them. They're short, they're sweet. I want to give them a try this next year. Speaking of fantasy romance, I would like to try out fantasy romance because I do kind of like it as a subgenre of romance. I think because if it has good character interactions, then I like to see well-written romance. But the other thing is, fantasy romance doesn't bore me the way that traditional romance does, because it doesn't really, like, kind of like everything, I have to be in a very specific mood to read about our real life. And when I'm reading about real life, I want to generally read about a different plot other than just a romance plot. But usually in fantasy romance, there's some semblance of a plot, like a fantasy plot with them, or at least a fantasy like setting. And I don't even need it to be good. I just need more to be going on than the romance. And fantasy romance seems like it could offer that. And there's one series that's very folklore, like fairy tale inspired by Emma Hamm that I really want to give a try. It's called The Other World. There's lots of books in the series, but it starts with one called Heart of the Fae. And this one, I believe, has like Irish mythology. Heart of the Fae is also, I believe, a Beauty and the Beast retelling. And I love Beauty and the Beast retellings, if we haven't established that on this channel already, so I would like to give this book a try, and thus fantasy romance a try with it. And this is the only series of fantasy romance that I've put on the list, because it's the only one that seems like I would genuinely want to continue, because it is so long and it has so many different fairy tales kind of retold or that inspire it. And I love fairy tale retellings. I love retellings, so this seems like a perfect fit for me. So for the adult fantasy section of the series that I definitely want to read, I have some of Michael J. Sullivan's works. So the Rhaeria Chronicles, I'm going to be finishing the Rhaeria Revelations in 2021. I do not want to carry that trilogy over at all. In 2022, I would like to start fresh with the Rhaeria Chronicles, which is the prequel for Royce and Hadrian, and I would like to move on to the Legends of the First Empire series and maybe his newer books, because I've heard really great things about all these series, better than I've heard about Rhaeria Revelations, especially Legends of the First Empire. And that one honestly seems like it will be more my speed. So I would like to get there in the publication order, and I want to just read his books all year. I like his writing style well enough. If I fall off of this goal, then what do you do? But I've put it on here. Similarly, I would also like to read The First Law Universe by Joe Abercrombie. And this is because I really want to get to Age of Madness. I think that I will like that. If there's a chance of me liking any of Joe Abercrombie's books a lot or loving it, I think it will be The Age of Madness, not necessarily First Law or his standalones. So I know that you're supposed to read everything else before you get to Age of Madness in order to truly appreciate what Age of Madness is. So I'm going to read the First Law trilogy, I'm going to read his standalones, I'm going to read his short stories, and I'm going to read The Age of Madness next year. Hopefully, if I can do it. And what's great is there's a read-along going on with Leanna's Library and Beautifully Bookish Bethany that I'm going to join, I think. I'm going to read along with them because I would like to be held accountable for reading this. And so when they have a live show up, it's like, oh, yay, I can watch it and participate in the comments or whatever if I read the books. If I read the books being the operative word there. Then I have the Realm of the Elderlings, and no, I'm not going to read all of the Realm of the Elderlings next year. It's just not going to happen. But the first two series, I hope to read. I know I'm reading the FARSEER trilogy, which, by the way, if you join my Discord, in January through March, I'm hosting a read-along with the FARSEER trilogy on my Discord. My Discord is reading the three FARSEER books together, one each month. So Assassin's Apprentice will be starting in January, and then we'll do Royal Assassin in February, and then we will do Assassin's Quest in March. So we'd love to see you join. If you also, like me, want to read or even reread the FARSEER trilogy next year, maybe that will be something you can join, and you can read it with friends. So that's what I'm planning on doing. And then I also would like to read the Live Ship Traders series, because that is the series that truly interests me. Like, FARSEER, I've heard is great, but I've also DNF'd Assassin's Apprentice before just because the writing is difficult. But Live Ship Traders, the content genuinely sounds so interesting to me. So I would like to get to at least that and see if I can like that before I make a full judgment on Robin Hobb and the Realm of the Elderlings and whether it's for me or not. I also would like to read The Faithful and the Fallen by John Gwynne. That is a completed series that I would really like to get to in this first half of 2022 because people say it's great. On that note, kind of, there's The Shadow of the Gods, which I hope to get to and read the sequel to in 2022 because that's when the sequel comes out. Same with Son of the Storm. The sequel I think is coming out in 2022. So I would like to read that book and its sequel if I like that book. Then another series, this is one of the only series that I have committed to reading the entire thing of before I even read the first book, and that's because it's The Dark Tower by Stephen King, my boyfriend's absolute favorite series, and I have said that I would buddy read it with him. So we're going to be buddy reading The Dark Tower starting in January with The Gunslinger. I think we're reading the first 4, and then we're taking a break for Salem's Lot, and then we're doing the last 3. So for 8 months, there will be a Stephen King book on my TBR, and after that, there probably won't be another Stephen King book on my TBR for a very long time, because I can't read that much King. But I am excited to have that experience with him and experience his favorite series, so that's one of the ones I want to get to. Then I would also like to start, I'm not committed to finishing this just because I don't know if I'll love it or not, but The Shadow of the Apt by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This one sounds great. It's like a military fantasy. People are based off of like different bugs, like they've kind of evolved from like or alongside bugs, so they kind of have somewhat features and powers kind of like the bugs. They're not bug people, but they have like I think the wasps have like a sting and like it's a certain power that stings you. I don't know. It sounds good. Library of Alexandria has been raving about it, so I would like to at least start it. I have also been wanting to get to the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin for a long time. I wanted to read it this past year, but I didn't get to it. And I would like to read it next year, especially because I read The 100,000 Kingdoms and really liked it. So I think I'm well set up to read and enjoy the Broken Earth trilogy at this point. So I hope to read it in 2022. I also hope to read the Queens of Wrentha series and that other book that she has out, The Deepest Blue or whatever. This series sounds amazing. I've heard Elliot Brooks talk about it. I've heard the Bookish Mom talk about it. It sounds great and I would like to get to it. And then finally, of the fantasy series that I want to get to, The Mask of Mirrors and The Liar's Knot. I don't know when book 3 is coming out. I think it's more likely going to be 2023. So I would like to get to these books sometime in 2022 so I can be prepared for that 3rd book. I know Angela from Literature Science Alliance has been obsessed with this book, so I'm really, really excited to see if I like it as well, because Angela and I have somewhat similar tastes. For the adult science fiction, I only have one series that I'm like absolutely committed to, and that is the Wayfarer series. I have them all planned out. I'm starting in January. I would like to get to this Becky Chambers series. I just would. And then, let me get my mugs. So I'm gonna have a video about this, but in the new year, one thing that I'm gonna do is pull books out of mugs that are mushroom mugs to see whether I should read them that month or not. I have several blank spots on my TBR for each month, and I'm going to pick out at least one from each mug to fill my TBR. So this more realistic kind of brown looking mug is where I keep my sci-fi, and this red and polka dotted mug is the one where I keep my fantasy. And so the following series are all sci-fi series that I will hopefully pull out of this sci-fi mug at some point to start. There's other sci-fi series in here, but these are like the ones that I really hope I pull out. So The Best of All Possible Worlds by Karen Lord and its sequel. Catfishing on Catnet. These are both Angela recommendations. Catfishing on Catnet is like a YA. The Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky and its sequel, and then A Memory Called Empire and its sequel. Those are my most anticipated sci-fi in this mug. Of course, if there's others, then I will read those instead. It just depends on which one I pick out each month. And then in the fantasy mug, these are my most anticipated series that I could pull out. The Blood of Stars duology by Elizabeth Lim, starting with Spin It On. The Clock Tower Wars by T. Kingfisher, starting with the Clockwork Boys. This is one of her fantasy universes, and it's in the same world as Sword Heart, which is a very highly acclaimed standalone fantasy romance that she has, I think. I think it's fantasy romance. Or I don't know whether it's that or like romantic fantasy, but either way, it's very highly acclaimed. And so I would like to read the other books in the series before reading that, just because I've heard that it's good that way. And so those are much more anticipated because I want to read Sword Heart so badly. A Declaration for the Rights of Magicians and its sequel, A Radical Act of Free Magic. This one I'm excited about because Mason, my boyfriend, read it and really liked it. The Empire of Sand duology by Tasha Suri. Really excited for that one. I think that has a different name, but I don't remember what it is. Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. That's in here. The Winnowing Flame trilogy. That's in here. Jen Williams. Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. That's in here. Very excited about that. And finally, The Poison Wars by Sam Hawke. This is less of a like highly anticipated series and more one that I want off my shelves. So yeah, I'm gonna read it and get it off my TBR shelves. So with that, those are all the series that I have planned to read in the year 2022. I'm sure there's other first books and series that will be coming out or have already come out that I will pick up, but I'm really just not gonna list all of those. So that's what you get for now. That's a lot of series. We will check back at the end of 2022 and see how I did keeping these goals. For now, I will see you next time. Bye!